The Lexus LC500 coupe has a seductive, sonorous growl. But it only has 471 horsepower and it weighs 4,500 pounds. The internet will tell you the specs are inferior, but do the specs really matter to the driver experience? You know, a lot of manufacturers make cars with turbos, but Lexus put a sound pipe from the engine through the firewall into the cabin to give you these amazing V8 noises. Oh, sounds so good. And it likes to rev too. 2021 is the first year that the LC500 is available as a convertible. Unlike a lot of cars that don't look as good with the top up, the LC500 retains the beautiful curved roofline of the coupe in the convertible form, so take your pick. Coupe, convertible, I think they both look amazing. The design feels like something you might find from the future. The wide hips, the huge grille, and the whole design aesthetic is really beautifully integrated. The LC500 isn't about raw power or numbers or performance figures. It's about something a lot more unique, and that's something Lexus puts a lot of focus on, and with great pride. That is driver experience. The LC500 didn't start life as a convertible, it was a coupe. And Lexus turned it into a convertible by adding some structural bracing and some stiffening. And I spoke with Scott Pruitt, who is a Lexus spokesperson and also a legendary racer, and who worked with the engineers to make it as stiff as possible.
The first time I tested it was about 4 years ago now, and it had a huge rigidity issue. So working together with the engineers, they had to come up with new technologies that were still light and give us great rigidity, because that is such a big deal with a convertible.
To make this stiffer, Lexus put gussets in the A and the B pillar, and it does have some benefits. It still flexes a little bit over terrible roads, which we've been driving on. There's a good balance here between sportiness and softness. This has adaptive suspension, and it has 650 different levels of compliance. I think in the city and over freeway expansion joints and on the highway, you're gonna be okay, but this is a pretty bumpy back road. Considering this is a 4,500 pound car, this is pretty good.
When I look at the convertible, I wanted that car to be that perfect car that you want to take on your favorite road. But since you can't take it to the track, no roll cage, we wanted great performance, but we also want a great ride, great feel, and great driver integration. And I hope all the owners come away with that.
The 5-liter V8 is really the star of the show. It makes 471 horsepower at 7,100 RPM and 398 pound-feet of torque at 4,800. It loves to rev. Makes incredible induction noises as you head up the rev band. It's so visceral. Lexus really paid attention to the sound. It's pretty clear the engineers spent a fair bit of time tuning the engine, the induction noises, and the exhaust to give you a really visceral experience of what this 5-liter sounds like. And oh my gosh, it sounds so good. The 10-speed automatic is really good. It shifts quickly and it's always on the right gear. The naturally aspirated V8 is a dying breed, and over at Lexus, like everywhere else, they are looking at the future of performance and what kind of powertrains they're going to be bringing to market.
What I see is more hybrid technology, and I think what has been fun for me to see with Lexus is they're not telling you you need to get electric. They're going to give the customer the ability to choose which of those they feel is most appropriate for their usage and what they want.
The interior, I think, is a real highlight of this vehicle, and it's part of the thing that makes it special. We've got leather surfaces everywhere. We've got really nice, high-quality stitching, and the lines in here sort of flow in a very unique way that you don't see in a lot of other vehicles. You've got some real curves going on. This volume knob is real metal and it feels really good. It feels like turning the knob on an expensive amplifier. You've got different surfaces, you've got different textures, you've got different kind of design pieces, and they all flow together really harmoniously in a way that I think is completely unique. This really does sort of epitomize a luxury convertible. Lexus has something they call active noise control, which is really just a fancy word for insulation and sound deadening. There is a flip-up screen you can put behind the seats, which also reduces the wind effect on the passengers, and it works pretty well. So if you're the kind of person that likes to drive on the freeway at 66 miles an hour, which is legal, with the top down, you can definitely do it in the LC500 convertible. It's not too loud in here. It might be a little loud, but we can have a conversation, and the heating and ventilation system actually works pretty effectively.
Lest you get too hot or too cold, Lexus Climate Concierge will adjust the temperature, seat heaters, and neck warmers for you to ensure optimal comfort. The LC500 convertible is a fantastic package, but there are a few downsides.
One of them is the shifter. It has a very strange pattern to go from park to drive to reverse. Not very intuitive. I wish they had done it in something a bit more of a conventional pattern.
If you're thinking about taking a road trip with 4 adults and using the back seat, you should probably think again. Legroom is just a figment of your imagination.
A few years ago, when Lexus started making these big grills, there was a lot of people complaining about them, saying they looked silly. But now, I think this is looking pretty good. The LC500 convertible is a near-perfect GT car in convertible form. The numbers aren't that amazing, 471 horsepower, not that great today, which is kind of a silly thing to say. There's more powerful cars, there's cars with better statistics and better numbers, but that is not what this car is about. This car is completely impractical. The trunk is tiny. Even for going on a weekend with 2 people, you gotta throw a bunch of stuff in the back seat. But frankly, I don't really think it matters. The V8 is amazing. The design looks like nothing else on the road. I think it's a stunning looking automobile. And a V8 convertible, naturally aspirated. This is going to be a future collector's car. If you're interested, you should probably get one before Toyota stops making them. My name is Eric. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe.